We have had several requests by our supporters to challenge Dr. Zakir Naik. Oddly enough, we were also challenged by Mohammedans to do the same. Here we go. I have listened intently and transcribed Zakir Naik's replies and explanations in his confrontation with Dr. William Campbell, who seems to have been very much out of depth about the subjects concerned, being in a very hostile environment, and Zakir's overwhelming verbal assaults. Under such circumstances, the best form of attack is to make very simple but deadly observations and statements, as I shall do so shortly. Prior to doing so, I would like to point out to our listeners the following two fundamentals that they should always bear in mind and be aware of at all times when research is done on languages and historical events. A. That languages evolve, and words that had a definite and specific meaning at their inception, at a certain period of time and place, will have a different one or even more than one in subsequent centuries. B. Most vital of all is to keep in mind that humans create and or invent words only when it is necessary, such as to describe an object, an idea, a concept, an action, etc. Hence, when one is discussing the meaning of a word, a term, an idea or a concept, one must address their actual meaning and understanding as they were at the time and place of their inception, and not, in hindsight, in our time, 1400 years later. I found Zakir Naik a very eloquent, persuasive, humorous, articulate, and a very convincing speaker. But, as I shall demonstrate, an accomplished pathological liar like his mentor Muhammad. He uses similitude to illustrate his explanations. Zakir Naik is an excellent linguistic and lexical illusionist, which he perpetrates upon an audience that is 99.99% ignorant of the Arabic language and even more ignorant of the actual events mentioned in Muhammad's Quran and the Bible. With deliberate and studied aforethought, Zakir misinforms, disinforms, misleads and deceives his unwary and otherwise very innocent audience. When Zakir's rebuttals, similitude and explanations are examined in situ, one will easily be able to completely discredit him as an authority on the Arabic language, on the Quran or the Bible. The foundations of his arguments are as follows: that the Quran is the only true revelation in existence, that the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament and the Gospels are mostly man-made and not completely divine, that the Quran contains all scientific knowledge possible, none of which is in error, because Allah as God cannot possibly be wrong. Hence, no book which contains scientific errors can be attributed to Allah or God. Such unscientific books cannot be divinely revealed. He then proceeds to enumerate all the verses of the Torah from Genesis 1 to 24 that contradict science and makes a mockery of them. He does the same with verses of the New Testament and the Gospels, while glorifying those of the Quran as perfectly and completely compatible with modern science without a single error or doubt. As I have mentioned on numerous occasions before, that the followers of Muhammad, in their attempt to justify the unjustifiable or to explain the unexplainable, invariably shoot themselves in the mouth. Zakir Naik is no exception. He invariably and with malice aforethought regales his audience with misquotations and misinterpretations of verses, ideas and concepts from the Bible by allegedly referencing them in chapter and verse that will never be verified by his enraptured but otherwise totally ignorant Muhammadan followers. I shall now address some of his explanations in his confrontation with Dr. William Campbell. Item 1. He accuses the Bible of being unscientific and hence ungodly on the particular issue that it says in Deuteronomy 14 verses 6 and 7. You may eat any animal that has a split hoof divided in two, and that chews the cud. However, of those that chew the cud, or that have a split hoof completely divided, you may not eat the camel, the rabbit, or the coney. Although they chew the cud, they do not have a split hoof. They are ceremonially unclean for you. This seems pretty straightforward on the face of it, as Zakir gloatingly informed his bemused audience that this is unscientific, since everyone knows that hares do not chew cud. Well, well, well. With all due respect to the very learned Zakir and his unlearned audience, they are very, very, very wrong as usual. Let us examine the question based on the very science that Zakir is in love with, and I quote, "Cud chewers are generally classified as belonging to the order of ruminants. Ruminants are defined as an even-toed animal that regurgitates and masticates its food after swallowing. This means that a cow, for example, will eat vegetation and swallow it. The cow's stomach is divided into 4 chambers, where some of more easily digestible nutrients are absorbed by the body, while other more fibrous material is stored in the stomach and then regurgitated. The cow will re-chew this material and re-swallow it so that it can digest it as well. Rabbits and hares, however, do not have a chambered stomach such as the cow. They also do not regurgitate their food. What they do perform is a function named secotropy. Rabbits are sometimes called pseudo-ruminants, whereas the feces commonly seen excreted by rabbits are fairly large, dry and ovoid, excreted singly and consist of fibrous plant material. Secotrophs are about half that size, occur in moist bundles stuck together with mucus, and are very fine, textured and odoriferous. They are seldom seen, as the rabbit plucks them directly from the anus as they are passed and swallows them whole. Normal rabbits do not allow sectrophs to drop to the floor or ground, and their presence there indicate a mechanical problem or illness in the rabbit." End of quote. Torah 1, Zakir Naik 0. The Torah of 3,500 years ago knows more than Zakir Naik and all the followers of Muhammad of the 21st century. Zakir should have studied the subject as I have before opening his ignorant and mocking mouth. Item 2, Al-Kahf 18.86. Until when he reached the setting of the sun, he found it set in a spring of murky water. Near it he found a people. We said, "O Dhul Qarnayn, thou hast authority either to punish them or to treat them with kindness." حتى إذا بلغ مغرب الشمس وجدها تغرب في عين حامئة. As we know, the sun is at least 1 million times bigger than the earth. Nonetheless, Muhammad asserts that it set in a puddle of water. To explain this very unscientific problem and save the alleged divine origin of the Quran, Zakir told a huge audience and millions of attentive viewers that the Arabic word wajadaha does not mean found, but actually means appeared. Well, well, well. Again, and yet again, we find that Zakir Naik is deliberately and intentionally deceiving all those who are listening to him, since in the Arabic language, in all their dictionaries, the word appear is zahara, and most definitely not wajada, which actually means found. Hence, once more, do we catch the charlatan Zakir Naik using usual Muhammadan methodology of mendacity and deception to protect the Quran with a bodyguard of lies.